Let me see your hands.
I saw this article and I felt the need to make a video on it about how stupid it is, or rather how stupid we have become. We conquered the world. We brought apex predators in every environment to heal, and we feasted upon their corpses. We're even bringing some twisted versions of some, such as the dire wolf, back to life through genetic manipulation. So how is it that we need to live in fear of skinwalkers with the mental capacity of a cow role-playing as a human?
We predicted that if Veronica used the tool to scratch herself, she will use the broom end and she will use it to reach parts of her body that were otherwise out of reach.
You see this article, shirtless Florida man who jumped through Taco Bell window and robbed it with a large rock, sentenced to 4 years. Apparently he terrorized some of the people in there as well. A Florida man is sentenced to 4 years in prison after he jumped through the window and robbed the workers and customers with a large rock. Kawaran Lee Anderson, 40, was arrested in July after he was captured by the Ocala Police Department canine dog, which you already saw some of. I couldn't play all of it because I'm pretty sure the dog was biting his arm. As you see, he is shirtless, and the dog, I guess, didn't have a shirt to pull on. They found him behind that dumpster. Anderson entered the restaurant through the drive-thru window whilst clenching a large rock in his hand before demanding money from workers and customers and chasing them all out of the building, police said. It's just, oh god. Anyway, it's unclear how much Anderson was able to take before running away. Anderson was homeless during the robbery and told police he needed money, according to an arrest affidavit. Just hours after he was taken into custody, Anderson was involved in a physical altercation with another incarcerated person. Anderson was charged with armed robbery and battery by a person at a detention facility in connection with the two incidents. He was found guilty on both charges last week and sentenced to 4 years in prison, excluding the time he had already served in the Marion County Jail. I mean, imagine someone with a rock coming through a window. Like, you know what they're going to do. A shirtless person with a rock coming through the window. Like, how is that not... How is that not the green light to just go for him, you know? Just go get the fryer grease. That's what I say. And so there's this other article here I saw. I didn't know about it until just now when I was reading this, but McDonald's customer launches flying kick at employee during heated restaurant brawl. Unfortunately, it was probably not a Tatsumaki Senpukyaku, but it's this woman, I guess. Of course, even when you go to McDonald's, women have to wear revealing tops. They apparently threw a burger that had fallen to the ground at one of the employees, and then the employee, which is this woman here, I suppose, took the burger, or a burger, inside of a box, it says, a little burger box, and threw it at a man, it says, and then there was some sort of scuffle between them, which I guess led to a flying kick. Like, this is insane. Look at all of these people here. It's a McDonald's. You have a child. What are you doing? Evolve, please. This all reminded me it reminded me because like the guy just had a rock, all right? That's why it reminded me of this. But it reminded me of the Bondi Junction mall stabbing in Australia of 2024. If you don't remember it, or if you didn't hear about it, the immediate story was that this guy was some deranged incel who wanted to hurt women. But one of the, I think, 6 killed was a man, and one of them, injured but not killed, was a 9-month-old baby. Now, I was never on board with this incel argument, and I think he was just going for the easy targets, which is exactly what people do when they target incels or furries or men or whatever. Like, people always know where the problem starts, right? Even without actually knowing that, they somehow know. They just use certain demographics as a landfill where they dump all of their accusations. An inquest ultimately came to the same conclusion that I did, which is that it was not sexism. I mean, that could be BS as well, to be fair. Like, that could just be to hide sexism. You know, who knows? But were they really sexist against a 9-month-old girl? Did he even know that they were a girl? Anyway, the reason I brought it up, like I said, is because of this whole rock thing. Like, this guy just had a knife. I'm reading all these stories that happen, and this guy was just attacking people with a knife, right? A big group of people. He was attacking a lot of people with a knife. What the hell happened to Australia? I thought you guys were supposed to be criminals living in a Mad Maxian hellscape where even looking sideways at a tree might result in deadly neurotoxins being injected directly into your eyeballs. The first thing I thought when this story happened in 2024 was, Well, why didn't they all just return to monkey? Especially in a mall. I mean, there must be loads of stuff to throw in a mall or wherever they were, right? Even if it's just your shoe. Like, even if you're in the middle of nowhere, just throw your shoe. He has a fucking knife. Just throw shit at him. I have never seen anything to dissuade me from this belief, and I think they could have just lynched the guy and minimalized damage, but instead, everyone activated ultra herbivore mode, such that he was confronted by people, and others, like Redditors and stuff, called this a heroic action. They even called the attacker a coward. God, coward has become such a catch-all excuse for dialogue these days. You don't even have to say anything. You just call someone a coward or one of the other trigger words, and that makes you magically correct, even before the whole ice mask thing. According to reports, he tried to stab the officer, Amy Scott, as well. Now, I'm not sure charging someone with a gun is cowardly. I'm not sure it's brave either, since the guy was insane, but the point of this video is in regarding the concepts of heroism, villainy, micro-infractions, and how we have given the world away to lunatics so as to stroke our own pathetic moral ego. So I wanted to point out people calling him a coward, which isn't really accurate, but I also wanted to point out her being called a hero, because that's tossed around just as commonly as coward is. I really don't think a police officer with a gun shooting a winded 40-year-old man with a knife is heroic. No shade on her. She did everything that was asked of her. She responded to the problem. She dealt with the problem. She provided CPR. It sounds textbook. There's no complaints. It's certainly remarkable and worthy of praise, but framing it as Superwoman, standing against the embodiment of misogyny, I think that's disingenuous. In reality, this guy had a fucking knife. The cops shouldn't have even been needed. The civilians just returned to monkey. They should have activated their predator instinct, used some conquer hockey, and lynched this guy. It would have lessened civilian damage, and they likely would have kept the stabber alive, so that he might have been interrogated, find his reasoning for doing so. Maybe you could mental health him back into society, or whatever you think is a good thing to do. And his parents would have at least had the chance to say goodbye if he was going to be sentenced to prison and executed or whatever they do in Australia. If you want to find moral justice in something, find it in that. Not in, oh, yay, after all of these people were killed or maimed, he was finally taken down. Woohoo, heroism. All of the people who were there being stabbed should have just beat the shit out of this guy. Like, when did we become so weak-willed that we were desperate for a hero? When did we lose our survival instinct, our ability to do the right thing? When the right thing became letting criminals get away with something so that we could then slap them on the wrist with a year in prison. I mean, these people who steal constantly from stores, and I'll steal that now, and I'll steal this next time, and I'll steal that the next time, and no one ever arrests me, so that means that I'm allowed to do it, right? And then after some years of them doing it, they'll eventually be caught and then be sent away for some years after stealing $1,000 worth of whatever. Just doesn't it doesn't register to me. And then you see sometimes people will stand up to them and they'll, like some employee or whatever, they'll be like, no, you can't leave, you stole that. And then the employee is the one who tends to get punished, right? Because that's against company policy. You're supposed to let them steal so that we can build a case against them. Why is this the way we live? Everyone hates it, right? I mean, I can't be alone in this. I feel like everyone must. I guess I've never really asked anyone. I'm just assuming that. Like, I don't live in Florida, but I've heard about their self-defense laws. I think everyone has, really, given some high-profile cases that the left wing made their straw man villain in order to prove some sort of moral superiority. And America's gun laws as well. I mean, that's like a worldwide bit of controversy, isn't it? It's always something about some mass shooting in America and everyone hates us and we're losers or whatever, but you're only ever hearing that narrative from Americans, right? What do other people think? I don't know. I mean, in Australia, like, what would have happened? What would have happened if everyone there had a gun, if the criminal had a gun? Would it have mattered? I mean, they were fighting a 100 versus 1 and they ran away from a guy with a knife. I'm not sure guns would have really mattered here either way. The dude killed 6 people. He stabbed, I think, like 15, 16, something like that. Would it have mattered if it was a gun? He did a lot of damage, and everyone was too afraid to deal with a guy with a knife. I've never been in a scenario where I feel like I need to carry a gun, but I can imagine them. I can imagine thousands, and each one of those involves me being grievously wounded or dying. That's not something I want. If I was ever in scenarios, like if I put myself in those scenarios, I would definitely feel like I need, and I know that going to a mall, you don't feel like you need some sort of protection, but there are plenty of other scenarios people put themselves in. People just live in bad environments. Even in places like America, there are dangerous places to live. And if I lived in a dangerous place, I would definitely feel the absolute need to carry a gun around with me all the time. Frankly, it's just not comfortable to carry around a gun all the time. I don't know why anyone would want to do it in terms of comfort. And that's like the problem, isn't it? It's like we're so obsessed with comfort. We're obsessed with just pretending everything is all great and wonderful, and someone will protect us and nothing bad will even happen. We don't need someone to protect us. Nothing's going to happen, right? Especially women. God, women, they always complain about patriarchy, misogyny, violation or whatever, but they never do anything to protect themselves. Like, that pocket meme where what's one thing men have over women? All of our clothes have pockets. Right, so like I'm not saying that bad things don't happen to good people. I'm not saying that women can dress appropriately, they can do everything right, and bad things can still happen to them. You know what I mean when I say bad things. But a lot of them make every single wrong choice possible. That girl in McDonald's even had a revealing top on for some reason. Like you go to a club, only certain types of people go to a club. They're only open at night. You go there at night. Certain people are asleep at night. Certain people are awake at night. You go there for certain reasons, same reasons as everyone else. Most of those people out at night, probably not with good intentions. You go there to get drunk or high or whatever. You let men buy you all of these things, knowing what they're gonna do to you. I mean the alcohol and such, not the men. But then, you can kind of come to some conclusions as to where this is going. All of these bad decisions, like ultimately, yes, the person who does the thing is a criminal. No doubt about that, but you have done everything possible to put yourself in a bad scenario. Instead of dressing normally, instead of not going out at night, instead of not going to a club, instead of carrying a weapon. I mean, women can use guns, carry around a gun, and a man isn't going to really have any power over you unless he happens to jump you, and that's probably a scenario where you trust the man, and that's, you can't do anything about that. It's not your fault. But I think our animalistic instincts have been neutered by modernism. It's the modern hyper-empathy. We are worried more about prejudice, racism, sexism. We're worried more about thought policing people than we are about actual violence. And when violence occurs, it's just an optics thing. It's just something for people to complain about on social media for a little bit and then move on to the next thing. And ultimately, what happens? Like, ultra-feminism doesn't allow you to do whatever you want. Hypersexualism makes you into a target. Countries like the UK and Italy are becoming like officially sexist with their laws that target men. Like Italy, for instance, if I remember correctly, they've recently had a law change where females of any age are basically any killing of them is being classified as a hate crime, and that gets men like forever in prison. But if I remember the law correctly, and I'm not from Italy, so I may not, but if I remember it correctly, this only applied to females. Not even to little boys. Only females. So, I guess you don't go to prison forever for killing a male child, because that's not as bad? Because it's not a hate crime? I mean, that's clearly sexist. Like, if you kill a child, the punishment should fit the crime, right? But only if they're females, though, right? Like, the thing is, these laws aren't going to stop bad people from doing bad things. They're not going to stop bad men. They're not going to stop bad women. Laws don't stop violence. They never have. They threaten punishment. The same concept as heaven and hell. You have to threaten people with a solid punishment. Now, people are ceasing belief in the supernatural, so that means you're going to have to really make sure that the natural really works. And this guy with a rock getting 4 years in prison, I don't know about that. I mean, again, you can't stop racism and sexism and stuff like that, but you can stop the normalization of violence, like this whole Dutch experiment thing. This is the share house with immigrants, where all of these women were there was like 20 violations that happened on these women. I guess censorship, you know how it is. 20, I think it was like 20 times these women were abused by immigrants, and it just kept going on, and I think it's still ongoing actually. And it's like, what the hell? Who are you proving your morality to? And these women, everything is happening to them. What does that prove exactly? Besides the fact that everyone else is right and you're wrong. Good morals, though. I think everyone should have the right to protect themselves. Everyone should demand that right. This is really what the video is about. Everyone should demand that right. People have stopped demanding the right to protect themselves. And that goes beyond guns. It's the mentality. It's the legality. It's been stripped from us. The desire to protect ourselves has been removed from us, and we now need to rely on other people protecting us instead. We're not taught that nothing bad will ever happen to us, and if it does, someone will protect us. And that is just stupid. And by legality, I don't even mean being allowed to own a gun, though that too, I was talking about Australia, but I was also talking about the desire to actually stand up for yourself and to fight back, a gun or knife or just throwing a shoe. What I really meant is that we're terrified as to what will happen to us if we do use a gun to defend ourselves or others, because of how deeply other people's morality has defined the laws that we abide by. Other people decide what is right and wrong regarding scenarios that they never need endure. And for us, well, if you threw your shoe at that mass stabbing culprit, would you go to prison for assault? For throwing a shoe at him? I don't know. Better to just play it safe and not help out, to just run away, right? In a modern world with modern technology, I think we should all have guns. I think we should all be taught to stand up for ourselves and fight back, and I think that knowledge will present a fear of repercussions and consequences in and of itself. That knowledge alone will be its own deterrent to crime. Of course, I only mean to say that sane people should have guns, and there should definitely be a proper age requirement and newer and very strict rules and regulations regarding that, better than what currently exists. But likewise, when we should fight is something that should also be morally ingrained into us. You'd like to think that's the way it currently is, but it's a thin veneer. We are really, honestly, we are taught to run and hide because we are taught that violence in any form is evil, unless it comes from the government, in which case it's heroic and good. Yes, guns can be used on an impulse, and because of that, they are extremely dangerous. A brief moment of anger causes permanent damage, and this is the biggest counter-argument for having guns. One not that many people make for some reason. There is a reason people are so ready to cause harm. It's much like women walking around naked in public while calling men creeps and dangerous. They believe that they're allowed to, and that any ill that befalls them is the fault of another. People who get angry and pull a trigger think that it's everyone else's fault, and believe themselves ever vindicated by some sort of hatred they have, ever justified for pulling that trigger. I'm making a separate video about this concept. A society with no consequences or punishment has resulted in people fearing absolutely nothing and acting like animals. Just like this imbecile with the rock. Every neuron in his brain should have been screaming at him, telling him not to do what he's doing. Instead, he felt like it was okay for him to do, when really he should have been afraid that every single person there would have beaten him within an inch of his life, maybe even killed him. But instead, he just did it. And us? Well, we've neutered ourselves. Our ancestors conquered land, sea, and air, even did a decent job at space, all things considered. We are living in fear of naked people with rocks climbing through the windows of drive-thrus and robbing us. People who act like animals because of our oh-so-sophisticated morality, which has weakened us to the extent that we let others walk all over us, and even when they are punished, it's not enough. We are living in fear of the months or even years of court cases that we'll need to attend if we do the right thing in a scenario like this. We live in fear of being imprisoned for murder or assault or something, for defending ourselves or defending another, which should have us lauded as a good Samaritan and a peacekeeper. A government cannot give divine protection to citizens. I said so earlier. That's not what laws do. They don't protect you. They threaten consequence. But because of that, it is the government's responsibility to give the citizen the capacity both physically and legally to protect themselves, and it is the government's duty to ensure that the malcontents of society are dealt with properly. This man with a rock has been sentenced to 4 years. I believe it was 4 years minus what he had already spent in the jail. This obviously was not enough to deter the crime. Will it be enough to change him as a person? Do you think he will be a better person when he's released? Anyway, thanks for watching.
Let me see your hands.